Bury the Bride was scary. Scary and gory, just like a horror film should be. Uh,
Hmm.
and some of them are campy. How would you describe this one?
I don't think it's campy at all. I think it's, it's got in the beginning, it's got some moments of levity, and the like the first third, you're really it's about a group of women who go away together for a bachelorette weekend, and when they get to this cabin that June, who's the bride's fiance David, offered to them, his family cabin, it becomes obvious pretty quickly that something is off, is amiss, and then on the second night, David decides to surprise June and show up with his buddies, and that's when things start to get really crazy and out of control, and it's pretty much nonstop suspense and action from that point on.
Yeah,
So yeah, so but I think it's a great movie. It's really fun, kind of old school horror with just some unexpected twists and turns to it that I think a lot of people don't see coming, which is great.
yeah, it is. I know the audience is probably caught up, of course, in the gore and the fright and all that. But to me, it sort of has a deeper message between the bride and her sister. Am I
Yeah.
am I off there, or is that?
No, not at all. I think that, yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, at its core, it's the story of love between two sisters, of a complicated sister relationship, but one steeped in love. For Chrissy Fox, who is the co-writer, but really kind of came up with a lot of the story ideas. It came out of her relationship with her sisters and her love of them. And I think, the guys also for her really came out of, she's saying her brothers are outdoorsmen, hunters, fishermen. And that, the guys in this film really came out of that she was like, that's, these are the friends of my brothers that I grew up around. And my character in particular, Puppy, really came out of that. She had said that there was always one friend in the group who had just this weird name that made no sense, nickname. And so that's where my character comes out of. But yeah, I mean, it's a story about two sisters and what they're willing to do for each other and to protect each other, and one older sister really wanting to protect her younger sister.
Hmm. And to say that Puppy doesn't have a lot to say is sort of
Yeah,
an understatement. So,
yeah,
did you want more dialogue, or I mean,
yeah. So yeah, I mean, I didn't, I signed on as a producer before I knew what part I was going to play, and then when they told me they wanted me to play Puppy, I I just said, I was like, he doesn't speak. What do you mean you want me to play Puppy? As actors, we're pretty attached to our lines. So, but Chrissy just convinced me and said, look, I know that this might seem strange, but it's going to be a really challenging part, and it's going to be a character that's really impactful in the story. And she was like, just trust me on this. And yeah, she's absolutely right. I mean, I think that it was a different type of challenge than I've experienced as an actor before. And I do think that, when Puppy does finally speak, there's, his story is pretty interesting.
yeah, yeah. shame it sort of wasn't believed, but I think I don't know, I believed it. So I think it's
Yeah.
just a general audience member, I would have believed that what he was saying was true. And now this was actually written too by Spider One,
Hmm.
Rob Zombie.
His brother. Yeah.
Yeah. So what is this his second film?
Yeah. Second film. Yes.
So
First one was Alexandria.
I
And
see.
this.
I see. So how did all that come about, and how did you sort of get into it?
So Christy and I had the same manager, and he had been trying to, get us together. He thought we'd get along really well and have, we have very similar, you know, uh, you know, taste in films and in the horror genre. And so when we did meet, we completely hit it off. And I had been wanting to, get into producing as well for a while, and kind of got side tracked, or not tracked, but the pandemic made it really hard in my business. A lot of things shut down. So when I got to know and become good friends with Chrissy, I talked to her about being interested in producing, and what their experience had been, making horror films and everything. And it was something that I decided that I wanted to do, especially, when I read the script. I really liked the script. It was something that I could visualize as I was reading, which, doesn't always happen. And I liked the story. I liked the camaraderie between the women in this. And I really loved the ending too. So there was, a lot for me that made me want to be involved in this as a producer as well as an actor.
So I take it that you were a fan of the horror genre as a child, growing up.
Yeah. No, I've been a fan of the genre since I was a kid, and I think grew to appreciate it more as I became, an adult. And then as an actor, I just love working it because of the diversity of great characters to play in it. I consider myself a character actor. I don't want to play the same part twice. I love just disappearing into things, being unrecognizable, and horror really, working in horror really allows that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of growing up, Jennifer Aniston just recently came out and said she was a schoolmate of yours, and
Yeah,
so and said, I believe you lived next door to Keith Richards. Is that true?
I did. Yeah.
Well, how was that? That had to have been an interesting experience.
Living next door to Keith Richards.
Yeah.
We didn't see him a lot. It was in New York. He had the apartment next door. So, I mean, he was a good neighbor. He was quiet.
Well, Jennifer said everybody gathered at your house because of the snacks. So,
Yeah. My mom always kept the fridge stocked, and so yeah, and my house was a definite hangout for our group of friends. So yeah, we had good snacks, and Jen was a good friend, still is.
yeah, well, that's nice. You've done a lot with American Horror Story, actually. How was that working with Sarah Paulson? She's just amazing.
Oh, she's great. I mean, both her, my first season on there, I worked, almost exclusively with Sarah. And then my second season, I got to work with Evan Peters in almost every scene, and they're both just, such talented actors, so such nice people. I mean, it was a great experience, honestly.
And season 12 is coming up. Would you?
I know.
Yeah.
I'd go back in a heartbeat. So yeah, All they have to do is ask. I'm there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so now you've been a working actor, I think, what, 10 or 11 years now, basically? Is it?
Um, really about I started working in about just 2015 was probably the first thing. So yeah.
Okay. Any struggles in the beginning, or is it everything you
Oh
want?
my God, yeah, totally. I couldn't get arrested, so it was, it was a struggle, and thank God, I got hired by Ryan Murphy to do 2 seasons of American Horror Story, and that kind of got me going.
Um, is it now everything you hoped it would be? Like, are there some roles out there that you still want? I know you talk about
Oh
being.
my God, yeah. No, I love it. I mean, I waited a long time to be able to do this. I started acting when I was 14 years old. So, and then, ended up giving it up because I didn't know why at the time, but I could play female characters. And so to be doing this now, for me, it's a dream come true. I absolutely love the work I do. For me, working is like being on vacation. So, yeah, I really, I live to act, and don't see that changing anytime in the future.
Would you like to do more television, or does it matter to you? What about like, anything?
Yeah, I mean, television's great. I love working on TV. I mean, you make a lot more money, and it's great getting a TV job. But I'm also happy, working on an independent film set. I mean, I love what I do, so I'm happy to have the opportunity to do it whenever I can.
Yeah. Well, I think it's been 13 years since your legal transition was completed, if I'm not mistaken. Um, it, has there been, I know you talked about struggles, but what kind of discrimination, if any, are you facing? And
I mean, I haven't, any ever faced any like real direct discrimination. What I hope starts to change is that producers start hiring trans actors to play cisgender characters in more mainstream stuff. Um, I know that that's what I like to do, and I know that a lot of other trans actors out there just don't want to be pigeonholed and playing only trans characters. So I hope that starts to change. In the meantime, R has been a great home to work in, and nobody seems to care that I'm a trans actor working within that genre. So
do you say to people who want to take your rights away, or don't want equal rights for transgender people?
um, it's I don't know. It's a hard time to be transgender in this country. It's a scary time, and what I see is a lot of people who don't have serious answers for the real issues we're facing, and are therefore just trying to scare people about trans folks, and we are the last thing anybody needs to be afraid of. We just want to live our lives and let other people live their lives. So.
You have any other projects coming up?
Yeah, I've got another film coming out later this year, another horror film called The Bellkeeper, and then with uh, Christy Fox and Spider One, who I made Bury the Bride with. We're in pre-production for a new project that we're going to be shooting in June. So,
Oh, cool. You got a little bit more dialogue in this one.
yes, I do. I do have a little bit more dialogue in this one. So.
Well, I'm curious. Have your friends and family seen Bury the Bride?
Some have, yeah, but not a lot, not the majority of people. So I'm going to be real excited for everybody to have a chance to watch it on Tubi, starting this Saturday, the 22nd. And I'm excited to see what people think of this. I think horror fans are going to really enjoy this movie.
Yeah. Well, it is enjoyable, and I appreciate your time today, Chaz.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, enjoy the chat and take care.